Good morning, I'm Brian Zana with Sin City Datsuns, and today, instead of a Sin City Datsuns part of the week, you're seeing some work being done on my 67 1600 Stroker project. Yes, it's going to get a stroked 5-main R16 and a 5-speed put in this beautiful little car. I know it doesn't look beautiful yet, but it will. So, today what we're doing is we're working on this driver's side rear quarter panel. It has some damage where it was pushed in. I've gone from the back as much as I can and pushed it out. Now what we're going to do today is I'm going to finish grinding some of this paint off. We're going to use the stud welder and a slide hammer and pull out this quarter panel. Back in the day I would have used one of the ones where you drilled a hole, put a screw in, and then slide hammered, but the stud welders have become very reasonable now. I bought myself a cheap one over at Harbor Freight. I'm really curious how it's going to work. Also, when we're done, because it's been stretched out, pushed in, pulled out, I'm going to be using a shrinking wheel on it for very close to the final finish. And what that will do, it'll shrink that metal back up so you don't have that tin canning. So I don't want this, obviously, tin canning popping in, popping out after I painted it. So I'm going to use a shrinking wheel on it. Basically, you put it on an angle grinder or a buffer sander, and you go over the area, and what it does is it heats it up, and it starts to pull and shrink up that metal so that it doesn't tin can on you. So let's get that stud welder out and see how it works. Alright, so you see I was prepping the area. I was using a flat sanding disc and just sanding off the paint and primer off of the rear quarter of the area that I'm going to be welding those studs on. Obviously, when you're welding anything, you need to have bare metal. Luckily for me, this car's only been repainted once, and it appears they took it down to bare metal because there's just basically a primer coat and then the paint. Problem is, they didn't spend any real time deleting this side trim here. They just filled it all in with Bondo, and you can see it's just cracking all over the place. I'm going to make sure that I sand all of that out. I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and weld that in, grind it down nice and smooth, and then just put a final skim coat of filler over it. It's kind of surprising that somebody would have taken the time to sand the car down to bare metal to put a new paint job on it, but then do such a terrible job in doing the body filler in the groove here for that rear quarter panel trim. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on this section right here. It's the biggest dent I have. I have another good one here. This one, I pulled most of it out. I've got a couple little ones I'm going to work on today as well. But right now, we're going to work on this big centerpiece right here. Okay, so here's that dent. I'm trying to give you a good look of it. It's really pushed in quite badly here. There you go, you can see a little bit better on this angle. Right here it's just pushed in really, really badly there. So we're going to try to use the new stud welder from Harbor Freight. I know you're thinking Harbor Freight, really? Well, with as little as this use as this is going to get, I really doubt that it's going to die very quickly. So why don't we go ahead and see how it does on those dents. Alright, so here's your stud welder, and we're going to put it right in the middle here. Push it down so that welding collar is right up against the bare metal. I'm going to press the button to engage it for 1/2 to 1.5 seconds. And slide it off. And there we have our welded stud. You're going to let it pull off for a couple seconds. You take your slide hammer, slide it on. See how that's tin canning? There we go. Nope, still tin canning. Definitely see it wants to stay tin canning on us. So that's why we're going to use that shrinking wheel, to make sure that we get rid of the tin canning. So I'm going to try to put a couple around the edge and see if we can't pull it out gradually from the edge. If not, I'll have to get my torch out, heat it up a little bit, and persuade it to stay out. Okay, so I've put a bunch of the welding studs in, as you can tell by the remnants of them lying on the floor there. I do want to apologize. I've had the fan going this whole time to keep me from sweating to death in here, but it's a little loud, so I didn't realize that I might have to start wearing a little a mic when I'm not real close to the phone, but when I'm recording. But so here you can see this back one. I only used one, and boy did it do a nice job of pulling that dent out. I mean, there's no tin canning. It doesn't want to go back in either. If you look from the top here, you can see these other ones. Boy, did they come out really nicely. I mean, this one here has a little bit of tin canning, a little weaker than I'd like, so I'll probably end up using that shrinking disc on it just to tighten it up a little bit more. This one turned out really nicely. This one, again, just needed one. This one, probably gonna put one more right here just to get a little low spot out right there. But overall, I'm thrilled with how well the stud welder worked. As you can see, I did not burn through our wonderful thin sheet metal. That's not a burn through, that's just that's the spot where I was grinding the paint off. That's a little bit of a high spot there that I'll have to hammer down a little bit, but really happy with it so far. I do have another spot I want to use it on over here. I want to get the hammer and dolly in as best I can, but I'm going to probably try to pull this spot out first before I get up underneath and try to get this crease back here, this edge. But that's really pretty much the only body work on the car that needs to be done, besides just your normal waviness and little dings and dents in the front portion of the car. The front fender's got a spot, but I can reach from underneath it and I can hammer and dolly that out. Actually, I'm hoping I can pop that out and then use that shrinking disc to keep it from popping back in. The hood looks terrible, but it's extremely straight. It's just seen better days. I mean, the paint and everything is pulled up off of it, and you know, we have some surface rust or whatnot, but overall, I mean, the car is in much better shape than quite a few that I've had in the past. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was a little informative for you and at least give you an idea what I'm doing with this project right now. Just not a lot of time for it between my day job, getting parts made for all of you to keep your cars on the road, and working on friends projects like that giant Ford hood in the back right there. It's a 67 Ford F100 for a friend. I'm doing all the rust repair on the front of it, and going to be painting it hopefully here in the next month. But yeah, the Stroker project, hopefully get this wrapped up before winter time, at least body and paint done, so over the winter I can just go ahead and play around with putting the jigsaw puzzle back together. So thank you again for watching, and until next time, keep those cars on the road.